It's time for the spoilers discussion for Avengers EndGame. If you haven't seen the movie yet, consider yourself duly warned. Oh yeah, what's Shaky Bacons? Consider yourself duly warned. I am going to be talking about nothing but spoilers in this, and they are major spoilers. Even if you normally watch my spoiler reviews before you see the movie, I know some of you guys do, I would recommend maybe not doing that this time if you're going to see this movie, because seriously, you don't want to ruin this for yourself. Trust me on this. Go see the movie and come back and watch this and then talk about spoiler stuff with me. And I'm calling it a spoilers discussion because honestly, I think I need to see the movie a few more times in order to like rationally break it down. So this is just going to be like a flurry of thoughts that I felt like discussing with you guys. Things that got me hyped, things that made me sad, the whole shebang. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, scooch. Scooch along, or you're going to be spoiled for EndGame. You've been warned. Now, for my non-spoilers review, which if you have not yet seen that, you should. I will have a link in the description box because I give you my movie rating for non-spoilers, at least the new Bacon rating scale. If you are a patron of mine, just a reminder that you can go see the actual numeric movie rating and my rough notes for these films over on Patreon. That is up. But if you haven't seen the non-spoilers review, check that out first, so you know the background from where I'm coming. This is the discussion part. This is an addendum to the non-spoilers review. In that review, I couldn't do much of a summary for EndGame because, like, within the first half an hour after Thor kills Thanos, it's like, it's like such a twist. I wasn't expecting it at all. I was like, oh my god, how do you summarize this? So the non-spoilers review has like a terribly small summary. So let me try and get a better quick recap. It'll be as quick as I can make it for you now. Let's just recap together. Within the first half an hour of the movie, Thanos is dead. Tony and Nebula are rescued by Captain Marvel on her way back to Earth. Tony stays behind recovering while the remaining Avengers go to confront Thanos after Nebula tells them Thanos' retirement plan. Major hint, it's not Florida. Who would have thought? He's surprisingly easy to subdue when they find him in his garden and he confesses to them, clearly crippled and burned like Two-Face in the DC universe, that he just recently used the stones to destroy the stones, to everyone's dismay, because now they don't know how they're going to bring everyone back. At this point, Thor, who is very clearly suffering from heavy guilt and PTSD, just chops his head off. It was very sudden. For me, it was very unexpected, and I was like, whoa! And everyone else in the audience was also like, holy crap! Because none of us were expecting Thor to just snack him like that, you know what I'm saying? Yee. So then the film cuts to 5 years later, and this is where I think they could have been a little faster. There's this really long build-up about how they're suffering 5 years later, the impact that it's had on individual people and on the planet. Good and bad, you know, Cap mentions that there's pods of whales going back up the Hudson River, but you also see how devastated people are. Industries have completely tanked, like people are at a loss for what to do. There's memorials. I do think that this was necessary in the film, but like I said in the non-spoilers review, I also feel that they could have hastened this section, streamlined it a bit so that we had more time for moments later on in the movie. Regardless, we see Natasha barely holding it together as she tries to hold together the Avengers initiative. We see Thor just getting sloshed on beer constantly with this crazy beer belly, just chilling with Taika Waititi and Meek playing Fortnite. Did Epic pay them a lot of money to get featured in this? I'm just curious because I saw that and I was like, oh my god, they have Fortnite in this. But it was funny. Thor yelled at what is probably a 12-year-old gamer. That was, I digress. Captain America's attending support groups. Everyone is distressed. Tony and Gwen finally have a baby together. They have a happy little family on a house by a lake. Eventually, we get to the point where Tony and the now gentrified Hulk/Bruce, who has come to a commonality and an agreement between himself and the Hulk, have figured out time travel based on Ant-Man's information when he returns from the quantum realm. And it turns out he only spent hours in there versus what was years back on Earth. They decide to construct a time machine using Pym particles in order to go back and try and get the Infinity Stones before Thanos does. Here's where a little bit of predictability comes in. I think as soon as we all saw that part, we were like, okay, yeah, so they're just going to collect them for Thanos. That's what's going to happen, right? Yes. That's exactly what happens. They split into groups to go and collect the Infinity Stones in the past. And as you can imagine, when they do split into these groups, things do not go as planned as they encounter themselves, situations that they're used to or that they've seen before. One of the best things about them going into the past is we get treated to these really great little cameos. Like we get to see the Sorceress Supreme and her interactions with Bruce as Bruce, because she knocks him out of the Hulk. It's super, super cool. And we even got to see our boy Stan Lee. I was wondering if he would be in this. I was like, are they going to try and get Stan in here? I'm really wondering if they were going to try and work it out. And they did. It was so nice seeing Stan Lee pop in. We also saw Tony's dad. Regardless, anywho, Nebula's memory bank gets compromised while she is in the same time sharing her own personal network with her past self. So her past self glitches, shows Gamora and Thanos what's going on. Current Nebula is taken hostage by past Nebula, Gamora, and Thanos and interrogated. Past Nebula poses as current Nebula, goes back to the future. Yes, back to the future of the current time, the new future with the time stones, to pose as current Nebula. And while the Hulk is snapping his fingers with the gauntlet with all of the stones that they've gathered, past Nebula lets Thanos' army in through the time travel portal so he can simply collect the stones as they have gathered them so conveniently for him to use. An epic battle ensues, of course, and it is the most epic battle out of all the epic battles I think we have received thus far in the MCU, in my personal opinion. And Thanos is finally defeated when Tony sacrifices himself to save everyone else. Wow. Holy shit, this movie, guys. I don't really even know where to begin, quite frankly. There's a lot that happened in this film. This is going to be kind of out of order, but let's just talk about things as I can, like, come across them. First of all, the wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. Time paradoxes kill my brain. And I thought this was a very interesting approach after the current times Thanos was killed for them to try and recover the Infinity Stones. I suspected it would be something like this. The exact execution I did not expect. One of the best parts about the time traveling in this is that we got to see such a unique callback and new interactions with the characters between themselves and situations that they've already been in. I think that was some of the most interesting parts of the movie. So one of my favorite examples of this is when Captain America gets on the elevator with the Hydra guys, and it's like a straight up recreation of the elevator scene where they try to kill him. And I thought for sure we were going to get a complete reenactment, and instead he just takes the case and he whispers, "Hail Hydra," and they're all like, "Oh," and I was like, "Oh," and the whole audience was like, "Are you because none of us expected it. It was such a brilliant move on his part. And it was a hilarious de-escalation of the situation, just like his encounter with himself when he's fighting himself, and his past self is like, "I could do this all day," and he's like, "Oh, I know." Because it sounds like even Captain exhausts Captain sometimes. The time stuff, though, was fairly predictable. When they got into the time stuff, I was like, okay, I can see where this is going. I can guess that Cap is going to see his gal again. I can guess that Tony's going to encounter his father. You know, you can kind of tell what's going to happen in a lot of the incidents. I knew immediately that there was going to be a Nebula thing happening. Like, as soon as Nebula's little brain things started flickering and she collapsed, I was like, oh, we're gonna have a Nebula thing. Cool. Cool. Not that I complain. I think that this movie, using Nebula, really gave a lot more depth to that character, and I actually started caring about her. I didn't really care about Nebula before. She was always kind of just on the periphery, and I was like, all right, well, we have our main cast here in Guardians, and we have our main Avengers, and Nebula's just kind of like on the fringe as a forgotten outsider. And what's really interesting about this film is that she and Gamora, because the current Gamora excuse me, the past Gamora that replaced the current Gamora that was dead, who was sacrificed by Thanos, that Gamora didn't have the life experiences and go through the same things that the former Gamora did, but that Nebula did. So we have a really interesting reversal of roles there where, you know, at the end, Nebula ends up staying with the Guardians and Gamora leaves. And you see Quill is attempting to find Gamora, but it was just a very interesting reversal because you went from Gamora being the one trying to patch things up and Nebula just being in complete denial and full of hatred and confusion to now Nebula is the one who's going to continue on. And I just thought that was such an interesting flip. And I'm really curious to see where they go with that character. Really interesting development in that character's arc. I also sadly knew Black Widow was going to end up dying for Clint because of the whole setup with his family. I knew she was gonna die for stupid Clint, and yeah, I said stupid Clint. I don't think I've said this on this channel. If I have, I don't remember saying it. I don't like Hawkeye. And I feel like they keep trying to make Hawkeye happen. Like, stop trying to make Hawkeye happen. It isn't going to happen. At least not for me. And I say this as someone who, I don't mind the character, and I love archery, so like I love what he's about, but God, Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye is so dumb. I cannot care about Hawkeye. Every part that he was in could have been replaced and I would have been totally cool with it. I did love the little touches with the time travel in this movie as well, like the Sorceress Supreme saying Strange is the best of us and just giving Hulk the stone. And speaking of Hulk, his development was really interesting. It was really funny to see him as Bruce the Hulk, where they just finally developed this synergy between them, and he's like posing for fan photos, and he's actually dressed like in this preppy casual kind of wear, and he's just like making time machines with his giant Hulk hands. It was just really funny to see. And then when they go back in time to New York for that took place during the first Avengers, they were like, come on, do something, and he's like, all right, and he's like, he just doesn't even like, sorry, it's not in anymore because he's finally mastered his two sides. I really, really enjoyed seeing that. Plus his sacrifice of himself at the end. You know, this is what I was made for, trying to rectify what happened with Black Widow and what happened with everyone else disappearing. I just really, really enjoyed where they took his character. Thanos in this is magnificent as well, in a different way than he was in the first one, in the Infinity War. You know, in Infinity War, we get a Thanos who has a depth of emotion, and he's had sacrifice, and he's had lost because he sacrificed Gamora to get the Soul Stone, and he's had a longer journey, and he's suffered more setbacks. And so in that film, we got more of a depth and a motivation and a history to the character. Whereas in this one, when they are encountering the Thanos of the past, that Thanos didn't have to make that sacrifice. And that Thanos didn't have those 9 years to add to his experiences and grow as a character. So the Thanos that we see in this one, while still incredibly powerful, is in many ways a different Thanos. He definitely seems way more cold-hearted than the Thanos that we encountered in the beginning of the film and the Thanos that was in Infinity War. And honestly, you know, the beginning of the film, Josh Brolin as Thanos, I really felt for him. You could tell that using the stones and having the experience of sacrificing Gamora had deeply changed him. And that is something that's very, very impressive to me. That the writers and the directors went there with that character, and then not only did they go there, but they immediately smashed it into the dust and presented us again with this full-powered brute of an angry, intelligent, cold-blooded, evil-seeming Thanos. They brought that evil underlayment back to him, and it was very interesting to see happen. And it also shows you how freaking powerful he is, man. Like, he caught Stormbreaker and he didn't even have any of the stones. Like, it really just shows you they had no chance at all against him when he had the stones. When he was barehanded with nothing, he was able to take on all of them and survive. And it was in that battle. So let's talk about the battle. That freaking battle, though, man, when all of the recovered people came in. Wakanda came in, Black Panther, Okoye, you have Scarlet Witch, you have the Wasp came back, Gwyneth Paltrow even came in, Pepper Potts actually came into battle to help out. Ah, dude, I'm getting chills remembering it. Oh, it was so good, I gotta watch it again. I thought it was, oh my god. And like the best part, look, I have chills. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I have straight up chills. When the captain freaking grabbed the hammer and then used lightning and just kicked Thanos' ass. Are you kidding me? Oh my god, it was superb. The whole audience, including me, was screaming. There were people on their feet. None of us could believe what we were seeing. That was one of the most glorious freaking fight sequences I have seen from Marvel. It was freaking phenomenal. And the other one that was freaking phenomenal was freaking Scarlet Witch, dude. I want more Scarlet Witch. Marvel, if anyone associated with you ever sees this, give me more freaking Scarlet Witch. She is so badass, man. She comes up to him. She took on Thanos single-handedly. And I got chills. When he's like, I don't know you. And she's like, you will. And then she just messes him up so badly that that's when he starts panicking. And he's like, rain fire, do it. Just kill everyone. Because he actually knows that she's going to kill him. And she would have too, except she got hit by a bomb. Oh my god, Scarlet Witch was great, man. I want more Scarlet Witch. Marvel, give me more Scarlet Witch. I don't think Thor had as much of a like huge arc in this, other than you do see him in the background coming to terms with his PTSD and his guilt. You know, at the end, I was kind of surprised to see that he joined the Guardians, and I guess we're going to get to see kind of a funky interplay of characters between himself and Quill. It was cool to see him wielding both Mjolnir and Stormbreaker at the same time, although honestly, it really amuses me to think about the fact that past Thor, he just like stole it when he was drunk at Asgard when he and Rocket were in the past. So past Thor is in the past, like, where the heck did my hammer go? And maybe that's how past Thor makes Stormbreaker. But then where does Groot come in? Also, I have to share this Groot theory with you guys. So Thor is like one of the only characters that actually speaks Groot's language, and he introduces him in Infinity War and in this film as Tree. King Bacon suggested, what if Groot's actual name is just Tree? Because it's not Thor being like naive like he normally is, because Thor speaks his language. What if his name is Tree and that's how Thor introduces him? Maybe Groot's name is Tree. Who would have thought? Also, did anyone else notice that when Thor came out in to get his armor with his lightning, the lightning braided his beard? I was like, oh, glad to see Thor's fashion sense is kicking in the middle of battle. Good job, man. Get your beard braid on. Why not? I liked that they kept his like beer belly dad bod going too. I half expected like in the middle of the movie for him to just like super flex and like the power of his god abs or something squished out his fat or whatever and he would be back to normal, but they kept with it. Like if you pay attention in the end fight scenes, he's herking that thing around, man. All that stout that he was chugging at New Asgard, he still got it. I loved watching all of the heroes we lost come back to battle Thanos and the army. It was really cool to see the Valkyrie in action. It was cool to see Pepper tear stuff up. And we got our Spider-Man back. Our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man came back. It was a really touching reunion between him and Tony. And I really loved how he had such a role in trying to get the gauntlet away from Thanos. And he engaged auto kill mode and his suit was just like going nuts. Oh, it was amazing. It was so good to see him back. And I have to say, the acting that Tom Holland performs in this during Tony's sacrifice and at their reunion was top-notch. Tom Holland is a great actor. He really, really impressed me. I think all of the acting in this was just aces. Aces. I really also enjoyed seeing Doctor Strange and the other sorcerers in action. I would have particularly liked to see more of what they can do. However, that wasn't the focus of this movie. I'm hoping, I've got my fingers crossed for another Doctor Strange film. I think that would be really cool to see. I like the character of Doctor Strange and I like how he's grown. especially since the Sorcerer Supreme said he's the best of us. I would be interested to see if this is what she meant or if there is more in store that they have in mind for Doctor Strange. There were a lot of quick focuses on characters that we're familiar with and that we know in battle, but I think if they had spent a little less time on just drawing out the emotional development in the beginning, that beginning part that I think is slow, I honestly think it would have been better and given them more time to focus on that last third of the film, or even in the second. The second act also felt a little rushed, and I think they should have borrowed some time from the first act to really flesh out and build up the second and thirds. I think it would have benefited the movie to a better degree than keeping the full first act in there. I want to talk about who we lost as well. Guys, I cried so much watching this. And I know I'm not the only one. There was like sniffs all around. I really enjoy watching movies like this with a huge audience. I've said this before. Normally, I can be a little curmudgeonly because I like people a lot one-on-one. But if I'm in a group of people, I start getting like, I wouldn't say it's anxiety, but I get really uncomfortable and I feel not nervous. I don't know how to describe it. I get uncomfortable in large group situations. Normally, like if I go grocery shopping, I go at like 8 p.m. to midnight, like in that time range where most people are not out and about, or I'll go really early in the morning somewhere. I tend, like if I go to a movie, I prefer to go during the day when there will not be a lot of people at the theater, or for movies like this, I try and go on Thursday, the day before the official opening, so that I lessen the amount of people I'm interacting with just because it makes me uncomfortable. But I really enjoyed seeing this film with all these people. And there are mega productions like this that I enjoy being around people because you get to hear snippets of conversation and you feel camaraderie with people that are just as invested in the story as you are, and it's something I really, really dig. That also means that you all cry together, and boy did we all cry. Black Widow's sacrifice. I knew it was gonna happen. I'm not happy that they sacrificed her. I know they're phasing out, you know, the old guard of the Avengers, but like, are they not going to give us the Black Widow movie now? Is that still going to happen? Because I was really looking forward to that, and I don't like the fact that her character's gone. I'm just going to say it. I really, really loved Black Widow. I think she's awesome. King Bacon has heard me rant about how great I think she is in the past, because she'll come on the screen, and I'm like, look, she's, for all intents and purposes, she doesn't have any powers. She's just a normal human who's been trained, and she holds her own against alien beings with far greater powers than she has. And she stands toe-to-toe with them and often comes out on top. That is extremely badass. And I am just bummed that she's gone, dude. Oh, I'm bummed. It was hard, you know, the scene where they were on the dock mourning her was really heartbreaking too. It was sweet that she sacrificed herself. The one thing I will say that I was glad, I was so worried that they were going to have like a secret love confession between her and Clint at the cliff of the Soul Stone. And I was like, dear sweet Jesus, please let them not have a love thing. They just spent however many movies building up stupid Hawkeye's family and how much he cares about his family. Please tell me we are not going to have a love confession. Thank God they didn't. It was like a self-sacrifice of a loving friendship type thing. Thank God for that. I was like, whew, whew, thank God. And we lost Captain America. He didn't die, but we lost him as an ongoing part of the franchise, which we all knew was going to happen. The question was, how would they do it? And as soon as we knew he was going to see his gal, right? He was going to see her. And we all kind of knew he was going to go back and stay back, and he did. And he kind of passed off the torch to Sam, which was kind of surprising. I thought he was going to pass it off to Bucky, because that's what happens in the comics. But he passed it off to Sam, which is really cool. And you could tell that the significance of that moment was not lost on Sam as he received the shield. And I really like that he said, it feels like this belongs to someone else. And the captain, well, he said, like, well, it doesn't, it's yours, or whatever he said. I'm paraphrasing. But I think that's telling, because I think if Sam had been cocky and been like, yeah, I'm Captain America, then in some ways, you know, he wouldn't have been worthy to carry the shield, because the point of Captain America was that he wasn't focused on himself. He was focused on the greater good. And he didn't think, you know, he had that kind of humble mindset where he didn't think he was that great. It wasn't about him. And Sam proved that he was a worthy successor by making clear that he didn't think it was about him. And that was a really interesting passing of the torch, and I liked seeing that. And man, we gotta talk about Tony. I cried so hard. When we lost Tony. I mean, if they hadn't, you know, it would not have made the story as good, and it's a very bittersweet ending that they lost him. You know, in the beginning of the film, when he's talking to Pepper and he says, I figured out time travel. I can put it aside now. And she's like, Tony, you can't rest until, you know, you help people and you get this done. And at the end, as he was passing, she moved past Tom Holland, who was heartbroken. Oh my God, I'm choking up talking about this. I'm such a dork. I'm okay. Oh, she moves past Tom Holland and she tells Tony, it's okay. We're safe. You can rest now. Aw, geez. And Tony just has this huge heart, and he was finally able to rest. And he took the sacrifice without hesitation when Doctor Strange told him there was one more chance. I'm okay. I'm fine. So if you guys see me, I keep looking to the side. I have this really awkward thing where I keep forgetting that, like, the camera's not a face, so I forget. So what I'm doing is right behind the camera is my Marvel poster, so I just keep staring at the Marvel character faces like I'm talking to them. Yes, I am distracting myself so I don't cry again over Tony Stark. Thank you for noticing. Anyway, he had that lovely last line, you know, the I am Iron Man, and he snapped his fingers and he took care of Thanos and his army. And it was a very fitting tribute and send-off, and they had the memorial with him. And I thought what was really, really well done as well is that they lingered on Jon Favreau. Probably said his name wrong too. You guys know I'll never get names right. But they lingered on him at the end during that memorial. And I thought that was a really good tribute and a send-off, not just to Tony and Robert Downey Jr. as Tony, but also to John, because John was the original director of Iron Man who started this whole thing. So I thought it was really cool that the Russos kind of gave him a little bit of time as like a special acknowledgement and a cameo in the film, more than just how he usually appears as Happy Hogan. He kind of got a little bit more time, and I felt like it was a fitting tribute to his contributions overall to really, you know, getting the whole MCU started with Iron Man, who before that was a relatively, there's like cat hair floating, sorry. It was a relatively obscure character. And it became, Tony Stark became the center of this whole universe. And he became, like, I don't know anybody who doesn't know Iron Man, honestly. What I wished would have happened was I really wished that there was an Iron Man riff woven somewhere in the initial credits that kicked off, or at least in some kind of soundtrack, since we lost such a pivotal member of the Avengers. But they didn't have it. I was kind of bummed. Like, I get, they played the Avengers theme, like, I get it. It was about all of them. It wasn't just about Tony, but Tony was like the major player. And I was kind of like, where's my Iron Man riff? Meh. Honestly, I'm interested to see where they're going to go from here, especially without Iron Man, because I guess it speaks to how much of a pivotal character he is, because I'm having a hard time imagining that universe without Iron Man in it. You know what I mean? I don't know what they're gonna do from here. I know they're like, they have a plan, but it's hard for me to imagine. And I guess that shows how much these movies have impacted me. And I know they're just movies, but honestly, they're like, we've been with these characters so long, they've become like friends. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I just worry that now that we've had such an epic conclusion, that the interest in the franchise is going to drop off now that some of these major players are gone. I'm really hoping that's not the case. I would love to see more of these characters and more of these people come back, more of their stories fleshed out. Like I said, Marvel, give me Scarlet Witch, please. Please give me some more Scarlet Witch. Such an interesting character. What I'm curious about is the little audio snippet that they played at the end of the credits, that clanking. What do you guys think that is? Did you hear it? A lot of the people in the theater I was in didn't hear it, but I heard it. It was like 2 seconds. It was incredibly faint, and it was just like a little clinky clank. I'm just wondering what's clanking? What is that clank from? I heard, or I saw, or I read, whatever it is, I read speculation that it's like working on another Iron Man suit, but does that mean someone else is going to be Iron Man? Like, is it his daughter, maybe? Is it Pepper Potts? Is she stepping in? Is it actually Iron Man? Is it something else that's completely different? I would just be really interested to know what exactly that clanking was. And one thing I thought was interesting as well was I was half expecting the Soul Stone to have contained all of the souls of the people that were disintegrated, but they didn't take it in that direction. And I'm not upset about that. I just thought it was very interesting because the story went in a direction I didn't expect, in terms of I thought they were going to really use the stones more than they did, but they didn't. The one thing that really worries me is that they left all the stones intact at the end and they didn't destroy them. Granted, I know they said destroying them would also destroy the person who destroys them. That's what Thanos said in the beginning. But does that mean they're going to have another threat related to the Infinity Stones? Like, I'm just genuinely curious. What is interesting now, of course, is that now that Thanos had gone to the future to get the Infinity Stones, he didn't wreak all that havoc along the way. At least all the Asgardians would still be living, because he wouldn't have attacked their escape ship. And wouldn't Loki still be alive? Because Loki didn't have the Tesseract to draw Thanos to their ship? Are they going to bring back Loki? Oh my god. Are they going to bring back Loki? Lot to think about. Alright. I want to know who your favorite character was in this film. Does not need to be one of the main time-traveling character arcs. Oh, I totally forgot about Ant-Man. Ant-Man was there. He saved people. He got really big. It was cool. Shout out to Scott Lang. Ant-Man, I haven't forgotten about you. Kind of did. Sorry. He was fine. Anyway, who was your favorite character in this? Do you guys still feel that Thanos was as strong of a character and as a villain as he was in the first one? I gotta rewatch this, man. I really want to go see it in IMAX. I didn't see it in IMAX, but I gotta go see it. I gotta go see it again in IMAX, dude. I gotta. Tell me who your favorite hero was, and in the meantime, I will catch you later.